In the heart of the mighty Persian Empire, a dramatic conflict was unfolding, one that would shake the kingdom and alter history forever. And at the center of it all was a man who refused to bow. Did you know that Mordecai's refusal to bow to Haman was not just an act of defiance, but the continuation of an ancient battle between two nations? This shocking truth goes deeper than most people realize. The story takes place during the reign of King Ahasuerus, Xerxes III, of Persia. After dismissing Queen Vashti, Ahasuerus later marries Esther, a young Jewish woman who becomes queen, though she keeps her identity hidden. Meanwhile, a man named Haman the Agagite is promoted to a position of great power in the Persian Empire. The king commands that everyone in the kingdom bow to Haman as a sign of respect. But one man refuses, Mordecai, a Jew who serves at the king's gate. Was Mordecai simply being stubborn? Not at all. His refusal had deep spiritual and historical significance. Haman was an Agagite, a descendant of King Agag, the ancient king of the Amalekites. The Amalekites were mortal enemies of Israel, dating back to the time of Moses. In Exodus 17, the Amalekites attacked Israel in the wilderness. God declared they would be wiped out because of their evil. Later, in 1 Samuel 15, God commanded King Saul, a Benjamite like Mordecai, to destroy the Amalekites completely, including King Agag. But Saul disobeyed and spared Agag's life. Because of this, God rejected Saul as king. By refusing to bow, Mordecai wasn't just making a personal choice. He was standing against an ancient enemy of his people, one his ancestor Saul had failed to eliminate. This was spiritual warfare, not just political defiance. When Haman saw that Mordecai would not bow, he was furious. But instead of punishing just Mordecai, he decided to wipe out all the Jews in Persia. He deceived King Ahasuerus, telling him the Jews were a rebellious people who followed their own laws. The king, unaware of Esther's Jewish heritage, gave Haman permission to issue a decree for their destruction. This was not just about personal revenge. It was the enemy's attempt to destroy God's chosen people. The night before Haman planned to execute Mordecai, the king could not sleep. To pass the time, he asked for the Book of Remembrance, a record of important events in the kingdom. As he listened, he discovered something shocking. Mordecai had once saved his life by exposing a plot to assassinate him, yet he had never been rewarded. Determined to honor Mordecai, the king asked Haman for advice on how to reward a man whom the king delighted in. Thinking the king was talking about him, Haman suggested dressing the man in royal robes, placing him on the king's horse, leading him through the city, proclaiming, "This is what is done for the man the king delights to honor." But to Haman's horror, the king commanded him to carry out this honor for Mordecai. Meanwhile, Mordecai sent word to Queen Esther, urging her to intervene with the king. But there was a major problem. No one could approach the king uninvited, not even the queen. To do so could mean death, unless the king extended his golden scepter. Esther knew the risk, but she made a bold decision. "If I perish, I perish." As 16. Before going to the king, she asked Mordecai and all the Jews to fast and pray for 3 days. Esther invited the king and Haman to a banquet, where she revealed her Jewish identity and exposed Haman's evil plot. The king, enraged, ordered that Haman be executed on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. Victory and the festival of Purim. Not only was Haman defeated, but the Jews were also given the right to defend themselves. They overcame their enemies, and Mordecai was elevated to a position of honor in the kingdom. To this day, the Jewish people celebrate Purim, a festival commemorating how God saved them from destruction. The hidden truth. Mordecai's refusal to bow wasn't just personal defiance. It was a stand against an ancient spiritual battle that had existed for centuries. This story reminds us that God always has a plan. Even when things seem hopeless, God is working behind the scenes to bring victory. And just like Esther and Mordecai, we are sometimes placed in difficult situations for such a time as this. Who do you need to stand firm against today? Will you bow to pressure, or will you stand for God?